Shalom, 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 Israel, Brother Malcolm, Brother Roddy. Going into the second class, the second service, and the topic of this live stream and this Sabbath service is how to keep every high holy day up. Right? So this is the foundation and the principles that we need as a nation of people. This is our heritage. Right? The truth is not always about cussing out the so-called white man, telling him he going into slavery. You got brothers that do that. You ask the brother about the day of Simon, they don't even know who Simon is. Or the destruction of Nicanor. They think that's an Israelite, nah? You know, they don't know the high holy days and the things that's necessary for salvation. So let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and 1 verse. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and 1.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 3 and verse 1. And I, brethren, could not speak unto you as unto spiritual, but as unto carnal, even as unto babes in Christ. Right? So like the Lord said, we can't speak too spiritual. We got to start at the milk. We got to build ourselves up. We can't come out in the highways and byways and just start speaking parables, right? Prophecies. You have to build yourself up. It says, but as unto carnal. I mean, you got to come on Jake level in this thing, man. Right? So they can understand. Even as unto babes in the Mashiach Yahushua. So we got to speak to Jake, right, like they babies. So when they get built up, right, they get stronger and stronger in the truth, right?
That's right. Because these brothers in Corinth, they really wasn't on the deep level.
Right.
And it tells you, we can go back to that. Because I was going to tell you why he couldn't get too deep with it.
I fed you with milk and not with meat. For hitherto you were not able to bear it, neither yet now are ye able.
Because, right, hold on, go on.
It says, for ye are yet carnal.
That's why he couldn't get too deep, because they was on the low level. They were carnal.
For whereas there is among you envying and strife and division, are ye not carnal and walk as men?
See that? So the Lord couldn't get too deep with these brothers in Corinth because they were still carnal. Right? A lot of brothers have a hard time going deep into the Bible and getting deep with the mysteries and parables and certain prophecies because they still have to work out the fundamental things in this truth. You're not going to be able to grow if you still have envy in your heart, or if you have malice in your heart, or you still holding a grudge. The Lord is not going to come and break things down deep on a deeper level because you still have to work these things out, right? Once you eradicate these things from your system and from your spirit, then the Most High can start working with you and building you up. But until then, He's going to keep you in that surface level. All you're going to know is Deuteronomy 28 and 15 through 68. You're not going to be able to understand parables or get too deep into this thing. The milk is the fundamental knowledge. The meat is the deeper things. As born-again babies, you have to give your baby milk, chiefly breast milk, right? And the breast milk is coming from your mother, which is the knowledge.
And like the brother said, the church of Corinth, they wasn't on the level, right? It's about to show you that. It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 12 and 11. I am become a fool and glorying. Ye have compelled me. Because Paul was getting on these men. Say, ye have compelled me. For I ought to have been commended of you. For in nothing I am behind the very chiefest apostles, though I be nothing. Truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience and signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein you are inferior to other churches? Right? So other churches was on levels that they wasn't on. And Paul had to speak to them like babies, right? In the truth. For what is it therein ye were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you. And he had to get on them. Forgive me this wrong.
That's right. So we're going through the milk. The high holy days is the milk, right? Sometimes, like last week, brothers went into the book of Revelation. We'll go into certain prophecies. We'll go a little bit deeper, but today we're going to focus on the milk. Let's go to Hebrews 5 and 12. Right, let's go to the book of Hebrews chapter 5 and 12. This is what you need to grow. Because the Most High is not looking for the brother that can break down all the Revelation front and back. The Most High said, look at that brother. He finally broke down the book of Revelation chapter 19. I need him. Or I could use. No, the Lord wants the man keeping the commandments. Because you can break all of that down and still be what? A nigga, a thief, a liar. You ain't kept not one high holy day ever, but you want to go and break down everything deep. The Lord not dealing with you because you're not doing what was required to make it to the king. You know? In Luke 10 and 25, the Lord said, what readest thou in the law? He didn't say, well, what readest thou in Revelation? Right. What readest thou in Song of Solomon? Right? Or Ezekiel, you know?
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 5 and verse 12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God.
Right. Right. When the time that these brothers in Jerusalem, that Paul wrote this letter to the Hebrews, they wanted to get deep into the thing, but the Lord says sometimes you got to be taught again. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. Go on.
And are become such as need of milk and not strong meat.
Right. Milk, again, is fundamental knowledge, the laws, the commandments, the curses, the blessings, knowing your nationality. That's milk that help you grow up. All right. Strong meat are deeper things in the Bible.
For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe.
Certain brothers are babes. They're unskillful. That's not a negative thing. It's just something that you have to grow on. All right. Just something about, like, you have a rookie. It may be the rookie year. He may not know all of the plays like the top guy that's been on the team for 13, 14 years. Right. But that's not saying that this guy's going to stay on the level. He's going to grow, and he may take that guy's place in due season.
Right. Yeah, everybody had to play that position.
Right.
Verse 14. But strong meat belongeth to them that are full of age, and those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
Right. So through experience, right, in the truth and longevity, and through pretty much overcoming certain things that you've been through, now you can be able to discern what's good meat and what's bad meat. Right. What's deep things, what's not deep things. Right. That's the man that has had experience. That's what it means. It says, who by reason of use have his senses exercised, right, to discern between good and evil. Meaning he's been put to the test plenty of times. Not to say, okay, look, that's deep, that's true. Right. Other brothers, they're just caught up with anything, man. Right. Like, let's get real quick Hebrews 13 and 9. All right. You got a lot of brothers that get tossed to and fro, trying to get too deep. Now these same brothers saying the fringes are wicked. You don't have to keep the Sabbath anymore. Yahweh don't exist.
This is the book of Hebrews, chapter 13 and verse 9. Be not carried about with divers and strange doctrines, for it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace, not with meats, which have not profited them that have been occupied therein.
All right, that don't it's not profitable to get outside of what's necessary. All right, it's not always profitable because it's not expedient. You don't want to spend too much time studying dark sayings and parables and not focusing on the laws and commandments and repenting. All right. So we're going to go over the next so-called or the next high holy day coming up, the next big one. The first one we're going to touch on is first we're going to touch on the new moon. All right. First, let's touch on the new moon. Right? Because we have a new moon every month. Right? And the new moon is the dark moon. Okay, it's the dark moon. What they call the dark moon.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse number 3. Blow up the trumpet in the new moon and the times appointed of our solemn feast day.
Right. So you blow the trumpet on the new moon. That's why brothers have endless shofars up here. All right. Brothers have the shofar and we blow the trumpet. They would do that in the ancient world. Right? When would they do that? On the new moon. You had the watchers that will watch for the phases of the moon and blow the trumpet and declare to the priesthood, and they will let everybody know, look, it's the new moon. All right? And it's a solemn feast day.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob. This he ordained in Joseph for a testimony when he went out through the land of Egypt, where I heard a language that I understood not. Right.
So the first new moon was kept. We was given to us by Moses while we were in captivity. All right. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12 and 1. Right. And there's different months of the year too in the Hebrew. We'll have to go over that another day. But the first month in the Hebrew is Abib. That's your first new moon. That's your new year. Your new year is the first new moon, not December 31st going into January 1st. All right. That's Daniel 7:25. We'll have to get that too.
It's the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year. To you,
right?
Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month, they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house.
Right. Now, this month is the month of Abib. Abib in the Hebrew, it means green corn or green. That's why your new year is during the springtime when your corn will come up healthy and green. All right. That's what the month of Abib is. There's no January in the Bible through December. Right. You have the month of Abib, which is the first month in your first new moon. Yes, sir.
No, you got it.
So let's show you how to keep the new moon. All right. We talk about it, but let's go into it. Let's go to Numbers, the 10th chapter and the 10th verse.
This is the book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness and your solemn days, and the beginning of your months, you shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of peace offerings, that ye may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God. And it came to pass on the 20th day of the second month and the second year that the cloud was taken up from off the tabernacle of the testimony.
Right. So in the beginning of your months, what else to say? Solemn days. Right. That's when you blow the trumpet in the beginning of the month. Every brother, you should be paying attention, and we always let brothers know when the new moon is coming in. Right. That's a solemn assembly. Right. We read about that in Psalms chapter 81. An assembly is what? A gathering together, a congregation. Right. We're congregating. So don't be the brothers the new moon. I want to stay by myself. You should, if you can, gather with brothers. All right. So that's a congregation or a holy convocation. All right. You blow this trumpet at the beginning of your month on your feast day. All right. Now let's go to the book of Numbers. I believe we want might be 29. If you don't want to go to that, we go to the book of Amos. Yeah, let's go to Amos 85. All right, because you treat the new moon like a Sabbath. All right, the new moon is treated exactly like a Sabbath with one exception. The only exception is you can cook. It's a feast day. You can't buy on the new moon. You can't sell on the new moon. You can't do any servile work on the new moon. Servile work is work for hire, work that you would do for hire, like cutting the grass, cleaning your house, doing the dishes. Any work that must be done on the new moon is only done for preparation of the food that you're about to cook.
This is the book of Amos, chapter 8 and verse 5, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sell corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making an ephod small, and the shekel great, and falsifying the balances by deceit.
You see that? So the Lord said our people was waiting for the new moon to be over so they can rip our people off, right? With false balances. And it's like false balances in different lives. All right. But basically it's telling you that the new moon is a day when you can't buy yourself. All right. So no buying and selling on the new moon. You have to prepare it too. You have to know when this day is coming in. You can't say, well, I didn't know it was the new moon. I'm gonna just buy this anyway. No, brother, that's a sin unto death. Right? You might fall out the truth the next day. Well, I just need to buy it. No, brother, you got to deal with it, man. All right, you cannot buy on the new moon nor sell on the new moon. Right? You got something else?
It's the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 20 and verse 5. And David said unto Jonathan, behold, tomorrow is the new moon, and I should not fail to sit with the king at meat. It's like the brother was talking to. It's a gathering. This is an assembly. He said, I should not fail to sit with the king at meat, but let me go that I may hide. Right? So he had to flee when you understand, when you read this chapter. But he said he would not fail because it was a gathering assembly. Right? Until the field, until the third day at evening.
That's right. Let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 66 and 23, I believe. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 66 and 23 to show that these days, the Sabbath day and the new moon, are used in the exact fashion. We saw that 23.
It's the book of Isaiah chapter 66 and verse number 23. And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, said the Lord.
So in the kingdom of heaven, every nation is going to keep the new moon. Right now, we just keep the new moon. You don't see Edomites talking about, oh, it's the new moon coming up after Halloween. Right after Halloween, it's a new moon. They're not doing that, man. But in the kingdom of heaven, all flesh is going to come to Jerusalem and keep the new moon. Now, if they say, well, look, I don't feel like keeping the new moon, they keep telling me to come up to Jerusalem every month. Hey, what's going to happen to them? They're going, there you go, quick on that, brother. They're going to get put to death, man. What scripture is that? Isaiah chapter 60 and 12. Right? They're going to get put to death. You're right, brother. All right? Every nation that don't come to Jerusalem, they're going to be utterly destroyed, man. Even if you late, you better be there on time, man. So they're going to have to get in their cattle. They're not going to fly in a chariot. They have to get their oxen ready, prepare their, we got to go to Jerusalem, and we want to police them, man. And they better show up with their offerings, or they're going to be destroyed. All flesh is going to keep these high holy days, man. Right? Let's go to Malachi 1 and 11. All right, let's go to the book of Malachi 1. They're going to have to keep the Feast of Tabernacles, the new moons, and it's lucky. And it's going to be grievous unto them. If it's grievous unto Jake in the world, and Jake is an Israelite, it's going to be grievous to them in the kingdom of heaven, man. Because they want to serve their gods. They may say, I don't want to keep the new moon. It's the Chinese New Year. Look, they better keep that to themselves. We're going to read their thoughts and say, what you said? Like the brother said, man, we're going to put hands on them.
It's the book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 11. For from the rising of the sun, even until the going down of the same, my name shall be great among the Gentiles. In every place incense shall be offered unto my name, and a pure offering for my name shall be great among the heathen, saith the Lord of hosts. Right, so straight like that, it's going to be sacrifices in the kingdom. Right, all these heathens are going to have to get down with the commandments of the Lord. Right, you also read about that in Zechariah, the 14th chapter. Right, and it says, but ye have profaned it, and that ye say the table of the Lord is polluted, and the fruit thereof, even his meat, right, is contemptible. Right, so straight like that, like the brother was going into, the Gentiles are going to have to serve us and keep all of the high holy days.
That's right. Now, the next new moon, everybody mark your calendar, right? The next new moon is November 14th at sundown. That's the next new moon, right? The new moon is November 14th at sundown. Let's go to Genesis 1, right, about the moon.
It's the book of Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
So the moon is to tell you, it's not the worship, right? It's to tell you what day of the week it is, right? If you're on point with everything, you can actually look at the moon and know how many days it is to the new moon. Right? You can look at it should be a full moon outside now, or a day after the full moon. Should be fully illuminated. So you would know how many days would it be to the new moon, roughly. Anybody know if it's a full moon? 15. About 15 days. Right, about maybe 13 to 16 days, but 15 is good to the new moon. All right, because that actually lines up. The new moon is what? November 14th at sundown. What's today's date? The 31st. Right, so you can actually count, right, the cycles of the moon. Every day you go outside and look at the moon, it should talk to you, and you should hear what it's telling you, and it's telling you, look, hey, it's the third day of the month. Right, you got something?
It's the book of Sirach, right, chapter 43 and verse number 6. He made the moon also to serve in her seasons for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. For the moon is a sign of peace, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully, and her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. So like the Lord said, he made the moon to serve in her seasons for a declaration of times. Supposed to look at the moon and understand, okay, the new moon coming in. Like the brother was going into, be able to count down, be able to understand what's going into, man, right? For the moon is a sign of feast. So you're supposed to eat good, man.
Right.
Not some leftovers, man, from 3 days ago. You kind of warm it up, and then you throw some cornbread on the side, man. Right. Now you got to at least have 4 to 5 sides, man, going down. Right, a healthy plate, blow the shofar, and gather together, man.
That's right. That's right. And get down, man. If you like your favorite wine, get it for the new moon.
Right.
Right. Let's go to Servce 14 and 14. Right? Brothers are depressed, man. It's the new moon. No, brother, be rejoiceful, man. The Lord let you live another month. You know?
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 14 and verse number 14. Defraud not thyself of the good day.
Right.
And let not the part of a good desire overpass thee.
Right. Don't rob yourself of having a good day in the new moon. You know you want that favorite wine, but you sitting there, I don't know if I should get it because the new moon coming in. No, brother, go buy it, brother. Get 3 bottles, man, because you know you're coming with the Akia, man. Right? So I don't know if I should get the lamb, man. Every time I get the lamb, man, it always makes me feel good. Brother, that's good, brother. Get the lamb, brother. What do I season it with? You know what seasoning, brother. It's the new moon, man.
Hook it up, man.
Yeah, hook it up, man. It's going down on the new moon, man. See how the Most High allows you to rejoice every month, man? And it's not a wicked high, like this society, their holidays, man, off, man. People get drunk. Like the origin of Christmas, they used to have orgies, man, get drunk, you know, men on men. Profanation, man. With the Most High, you got a high holy day every month in righteousness. All right? You got something? Let's go to Psalms 19 and 1. All right? So now, Jake, you should know how to keep the new moon. All right? It's a day of rejoicing and gladness every month.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament shew his handiwork.
Right? The handiwork is the creations of the Lord, and the firmament, the sun and the moon, and the stars. That's the handiwork of the Lord.
Day unto day utter speech, and night unto night shew knowledge.
See, the sun and the moon, every day they're teaching you, right? The sun teaches you what hour of the day it is, and the moon is teaching you what day of the week it is. The moon is teaching you, hey, well, look, I'm red. Look at me. You know what this means. And you say, okay, I understand. What's coming? Destruction. It's a blood moon. Right? The sun is saying, look, it's an eclipse. Look at me. Right? The Most High is showing you something. And you got to take note. The sun and the moon teaches you day into day and night into night. They utter in knowledge. They're not there to be worshipped. They're there to teach man what? Signs, seasons, days, and the years, man. And that's a just balance. The sun is personified as a man, and the moon is personified as a woman. Right? And that's the just balance up there to teach you what you should do, man. You know, your what is it? Your celestial father and mother. You know,
verse 3. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard.
Right. Meaning everybody around the earth should be understanding the signs in the heavens. All right. And day into day they utter speech, and night into night they utter knowledge. All right. Some people get enticed by them signs, man. Some people look at the blood moon and say, he's teaching me to worship it. I must worship you. Look how shiny you are. Right?
Dismayed, man.
Yeah, they get dismayed, man. They look at it. Oh, man, look at that eclipse. Let's put the glasses on and watch the eclipse. Right? So some people don't know what's going on. Chiefly the nations. We look at the sun and the moon and say, okay, look, it's about to go down. They look at the sun and the moon and they rejoice, man. And wickedness. I got precept too. I'm gonna get this in Job, right? This the boy, you got
it's the book of Joel, chapter 2, right? And I'm gonna start at verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your old men shall dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And also upon my servants and upon my handmaids in those days where I pour out my spirit, and I will shew wonders in the heavens. Right, like the brother is going into. You got to be vigilant and watching, man, these signs in the heavens. Man, the Lord not just doing this like Edomite or a nation would just look up and just say, oh, it's a rainbow. Devil beating his wife. Right. Oh, it's the sun out. It's hot outside. Oh, it's an eclipse. This just happened. Right, let's get the telescopes and climb on top of the roof. Right. They don't understand these things. Right, for I will shew wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood and fire and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood before the great and terrible day of the Lord come. So every time we see that, we have to understand that it's moving further and further to the end, man. Prophecies are unrolling, and the Lord is showing you over and over that he's on his way.
That's right. This Job 31 and 26, right? It reads, Job 31 and 26. if I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand. This also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the Most High that is above. So certain people, they look at it, what does it mean, kiss your hand? Man, look at that sun, man. Look at that sun shining, man. Let me offer it up something. Let me offer up an oxen to the sun. Look how shiny it is, right? That's what the nations do, man, right? That's idolatrous. That's why it says I should have denied that God is from above, man, or God is above, rather.
It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 13 and verse 1. Surely vain are all men by nature, who are ignorant of Yahweh and cannot out the good things that are seen. Know him, that is, neither by considering the work did they acknowledge the workmaster, but deem either fire or wind. Right? That's Egyptology, man. What they deem fire, wind, right? This damn bird and all of these creatures, man. They deem fire or wind or swift air or the circle of the stars, right? Or the violent waters or the lights of heaven to be gods which govern the world. There are a lot of philosophies, right? They say all of the stars are the angels, right? Right, the sun, right, is God. It's a lot of folly going on, man. Right? And it says, with those with whose beauty they being delighted took them to be gods. Let them to know how much better the Lord of them is, who first author of beauty have created them. Hey, the Lord, hey, he's not seen, man. Right? He's going to show you his works. But people so what? Foolish that they worship in the sun, the moon, the stars, and making them into philosophies and doctrines of gods. But if they were astonished at their power and virtue, let them understand by them how much mightier he is that made them. For by the greatness of beauty, the creatures, proportionably, the maker of them is seen.
That's right. That's right. I mean, you got to give equal credit to the Father for making these things. All right. So the new moon we went over. The next major high holy day we're going to go over is the Feast of Dedication, because we're approaching that time, right? As the season shift, we just kept the Feast of Tabernacles, right? Then you have the new moons. Then after that, you have the Feast of Dedication. Let's go to St. John chapter 10 and 22. Right?
It's the book of St. John chapter 10 and verse number 22. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, and it was winter.
Right. And who kept this Yahweh Shai, huh? When did the Lord celebrate Christmas? Kwanzaa. A lot of Jakes say, I don't want to do Christmas, I'll do Kwanzaa. That's for black people. No, man. Right? That's for Hamites and Jake that think they want to be African. Or what is it? Christmas and Kwanzaa, man. And then you got Amalek celebrating Hanukkah, and you say, well, that's the Jewish day. That's their day. You know, they celebrate Hanukkah. No, you're supposed to celebrate Hanukkah, man. That's your high holy day, aka the Feast of Dedication, also known as the Feast of Lights. You know, and we're going to read about where the Feast of Dedication came from.
It's the book of First Maccabees, chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 54. Look at what time and what day the heathen have profaned it, even in that was it dedicated with songs and cisterns and harps and cymbals. Right, so we were celebrating during the Feast of Dedication, man. Right? Then all the people fell upon their faces and worshiped and praised the Lord, God of heaven, who have given them good success. So they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, with shields, and the gates of the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. Thus there was very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their seasons from year to year by the space of 8 days, from 5 and 20th day of the month of Chelsea's, with myrrh and gladness.
Right. Now, this is the dedication of the temple, and we're not going to read all the Maccabees, right? And that's something that you have to read on your own. How Mattathias and his sons, Simon, Jonathan, and Judas rose up and the most successful slave rebellion in human history, man. Because they were slaves during the time of the Greeks, man. But they rose up and overthrew the so-called white man, and they don't make movies about that. They don't make Nat Turner though. They don't make Harriet Tubman, but they won't make Judas Maccabees, because all they did was slay, kill, lynch, murder, burn, and vex the so-called white man. And they built the whole empire off of it called the Hasmonean dynasty. You have the Hasmonean dynasty, which is not talked about on the History Channel or the Discovery Channel. Neither is it taught to school in these schools, man, because that's a so-called black empire built off of the so-called Haitian men. These Maccabees brothers are Levites, man, right? And they have a major history of overthrowing the so-called white men, right? They're known for that. They don't give a damn. Jake, you Judites, man, that's another thing. Judah and Benjamin. But Levi gets down, man. Not saying the other tribes don't get down, but when Levi gets down, we know what happened. And it was at the 1700s. I mean, that's the late or 1800s. When Haiti overthrew the French, man. And that might have been the same brothers back on the earth, man. Same brothers said, look, here we go again. You know? So when you read the book of Maccabees, it's an account of the children of Israel through Judas Maccabees and their bloodline, Simon and Jonathan, waging war against Esau and overthrowing them. They came approach. Let's go to the book of Daniel 11, and let's go to verse 32, I believe. 31.
It's the book of Daniel, chapter 11 and verse number 31. An arm shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength.
This the profanation of the temple, right? This Daniel chapter 11 goes into the Syrian wars. You have 6 Syrian wars between the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Seleucid dynasty, right? Which were the successors of Alexander the Great. Now, when you get to around 30-31, it's focusing on a man by the name of Antiochus Epiphanes IV, right? He came out of the Seleucid dynasty, the son of Antiochus III, or the Great. And he came and profaned the temple and the sanctuary. We can read about that in First Maccabees, the first chapter too. But Daniel 11 is making reference to it as well.
Take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolate.
So this is the first abomination that maketh desolate, right? What is the abomination that maketh desolate? What did they do? They offered swine's flesh on the altar, right? When you offer lambs, right, bullocks, they said, look, man, they basically said, F the Most High, man. We know the Most High hate pig. We're going to offer this up to you, Lord. How you feel about that? Right? And they put swine's flesh on the altar to Jupiter and Zeus, man. And they had harlots in the temple. They was having sex on the altar, had little boys on the altar. You know? That's when you get, when you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 6 and 9, where it says about effeminate men, that word in the Greek means catamite. Now, a catamite is a boy's sex slave for an older man. They would bring catamites into the temple, and they would deal with them, man, and offer swine's flesh and eat blood. That's the abomination that maketh desolate. So our forefathers went and destroyed the so-called white man, cleansed the temple out, and dedicated that for 8 days.
It's the book of 2 Maccabees, chapter 6 and verse 4. For the temple was filled with riots and reveling by the Gentiles, who daily with harlots and had to do with women within the circuit of the holy place.
You see that?
And beside brought in things that were not lawful. The altar also was filled with profane things, which the law forbiddeth.
Right, they had crabs on the altar, snake skin, dead bodies, little boys, swine, little boys, and the swine's flesh, all on the altar. What did our forefathers do? Did we say, well, that's just Esau? Let him just do him. Well, let Esau rock. No, right? What did they do? They slew them, man. They killed many. So if you're a so-called white man watching this, right, you got to deal with it, man. Right? They got to deal. I don't want to talk about this. Right? This is what our forefathers. This coming back in a big way, man. Right? This coming back in a big way. But that's a lesson for another day. right? Yahushua prophesied about another abomination that makes desolate, right? And the profanation of the altar in the temple, right? Which is the nation of Israel. All right. Let's go to would you read Second Maccabees? Let's go to 2. Second Maccabees 2 and 1.
It's the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 2 and verse 1. It is also found in the records that Jeremy the prophet, right, Jeremiah, commanded them that were carried away to take of the fire as it had been signified, and how that the prophet, having given them the law, charged them not to forget the commandments of the Lord.
Second Maccabees 1. Do Second Maccabees 1 and 7. Second Maccabees 1 and 7.
It's the book of Second Maccabees, chapter 1 and verse number 7. What time as Demetrius reigned in the 169th year, we the Jews wrote unto you in the extremity of trouble that came upon us in those years, from time that Jason and his company revolted from the Holy Land and kingdom.
Right. Jason was one of the top coons of all time. Right. And Jason was an Israelite man who sought the priesthood and murdered many of his fellow Israelites. Right. And revolted against Judas and his brother.
And burned the porch and shed innocent blood. Then we prayed unto the Lord, and we heard. We offered also sacrifices and fine flour, and lighted the lamps, and set forth the loaves. And now see that we keep the Feast of Tabernacle in the month of Chelseas.
Right. Now I'm saying the Feast of Tabernacles, but that's really the Feast of Dedication, because that's the same month, the month of Caslu. All right. But they call it the Feast of Tabernacles because it's the same length of time. All right. The same length of time. Like Nehemiah had, when they dedicated the temple, they kept the same thing. All right. But it was ordained during the time of Simon and Jonathan and Judas. All right. It's the same month, but same feast. You can read about it in First Maccabees and Second Maccabees. That's why you have the lighting of the lamps we read about. That's why I was doing the Feast of Tabernacles. You have your menorah and you light your menorah. And your menorah should have 7 knots, 7 candlesticks. All right, you would take your candlesticks, put them in there, and you would light one. Some brothers, they'll light one each day. You know, so you keep your Feast of Dedication and you light your menorah. That's why brothers should get their menorahs, man. You can get them from Amazon, right? This brother got this one. Brother, show the brothers on camera. This the cat menorah right here, man. Mm-hmm. So you go and you take your menorah, you light it, and you keep it, man. And your dwelling place, and you may light a candle each day, or you can light them all each day for the Feast of Dedication. You'll see that Amalek, he'll have 9 or sometimes 8, right? But you're supposed to have 7. All right. Say what, brother? Completion. All right. Let's go to the book of Revelation. All right, chapter 4 and 5. All right. So this menorah represents the 7 churches as well as the 7 spirits of God.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 4 and verse 5. And out of the throne proceeded lightning and thundering and voices, and there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God.
You see that? So you have 7 lamps of fire. When they lit the lamps, that's symbolic for the 7 spirits of God. What are the 7 spirits of God? Do brothers know? 7 spirits of God? Is it just literally 7 spirits? No, it's an indefinite, innumerable amount of spirits up there in the third heaven. Right? Remember last lesson we went into the angels and the demons? Those are all of the spirits up there in the third heaven. But they represent the 7 lamps of fire. All right, the 7 spirits of the Most High that stand before his throne. Because who stands before his throne? 1,000 and thousands. Right? To that in Revelation in the book of Daniel.
It's the book of Numbers, chapter 8, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron, and say unto him, When thou lightest the lamps, the 7 lamps shall give light over against the candlestick. And Aaron did so. He lighted the lamps thereof over against the candlestick, as the Lord commanded Moses. And this work of the candlestick was beaten gold, unto the shaft thereof, unto the flowers thereof was beaten work according unto the pattern which the Lord had shewed Moses, so he made the candlestick. There you go, man. Straight like that, man. Talking about the menorah. And we have to have, this is not optional. This is not something to do for fun. This ain't decoration, man. Right? We got to keep the law and rehearse the righteous acts. That's why we have these. We have to get soap first, right? We have to get the menorahs, right? We have to wear fringes. All of this is the law we got to keep.
That's right. That's right. So they actually made this, the 7 candlesticks. All right. You had a wise man that was cunning that created this thing by the Most High. Why? Because this is a representation of what's in the heavens. You have the 7 spirits in the heavens. It said, look, we have to make a shadow of that on the earth. Everything in the wilderness that was made is a pattern of things in the heavens. All right. Chiefly Yahweh Shah, you have this light or this candlestick to light the tabernacle or the house. Who's the true light? Yahweh Shah, to light the house of Israel. So it's a pattern of things in Yahweh Shah, the bread, the 12 pieces of bread or the showbread, that's symbolic of Yahweh Shah. The candlestick, the washing is all representative. The altar, right? The laver of brass is all for Yahweh Shah, all about Yahweh Shah. So the Ark of the Covenant is a pattern of things, the Lord that dwells in the heavens, right? So let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 1, right? Let's get this, what's that, 18. Okay.
This is the book of Revelation, 1 and verse 18. I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Right. Amen. And have the keys of hell and death, and of death. Write these things which thou seen, and the things which are, and the things which shall be hereafter. The mystery of the 7 stars which thou sawest in my right hand, and the 7 golden candlesticks. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches, and the 7 candlesticks which thou sawest are the 7 churches.
So it's also representative of the 7 churches, the 7 lamps and the 7 churches. All right, the 7 lamps are the 7 spirits of the Most High, and the 7 churches are what? If the 7 lamps are all of the spirits in the heavens, what can the 7 churches be? The what, brother? No.
7 candles.
The nation of Israel. All right, what are 7 churches?
Okay.
All right, what are 7 churches? The 7 spirits of the Most High is every spirit up there in the heavens. The 7 churches are the house of Israel. All right, what are 7 churches of the Most High? It's not literally 7 churches. Although you did have 7 churches back then, from Smyrna to Philadelphia, but what are the 7 churches in the last days? If this was only applicable to these 7 churches, we have no business reading the book of Revelation. Right? But it's symbolic for us as well. So brothers understand the feast of dedication.
Salaki. Just to prove what the brother said, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 2 and verse 18. And unto the angel of the church and their writer, write these things, saith the Son of God, who have his eyes like unto a flame of fire and his feet like unto fine brass. And then jump into verse 26. And he that overcometh and keep my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. And we know that that's talking about all Israel. Right. All Israel gonna have power over the nations, not just that one church.
That's right. That's right. So again, the feast of dedication is a day or days rather kept in the month of Castle, they call it during this time, to dedicate our forefathers destroying the so-called white man by the hand of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua and dedicating the altar in the temple for 7 days. All right. They light the menorah, which is parabolic of the 7 spirits and the 3rd heaven, as well as the 7 churches, meaning the elect of Israel on the earth. You got a question, brother?
Yeah. What day would that be?
Coming up?
Yeah.
Well, I have to give you that, brother. We don't have it off the top of the head. But we do have a video on the Cold Cuts channel with every high holy day and the dates. All right? So that's called Cold Cuts 2020.
And also, the 7 churches, like back then, they represent anything like specific or
no, those are literal. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the first chapter. Those are literal 7 churches back then. Right? Revelation chapter 1. Bear with me.
and 11. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 11, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last. And what thou seest, write in a book, and send it unto the seven churches which are in Asia, and to Ephesus. Right?
These are the seven churches.
And to Smyrna, to Pergamos, and to Tyre, and to Sardis, to Philadelphia, and Laodicea.
Right, Laodicea. So these are the seven churches, right? We got it on the map. If you have an atlas, you can look up where they at. It's in modern day Turkey. During the time of John, these were the top Israelite congregations of his day. When you read the book of Ephesians or the epistle to the Ephesians, that's one of the seven churches, right? You had, again, like the brother said, Pergamo, Thyatira, Sardis, Smyrna, Philadelphia, Laodicea, and Ephesus, right off the coast of Asia Minor. And where was Paul at? John. John was on the Isle of Patmos. This is where John wrote the letter to these seven churches. John was on this church, and who did he write this letter to? To the seven angels of the seven churches. So the Spirit can work on these men and show these men what they have to do in the last days. All right, not that the angels gonna come down and read the letter to them. All right, so that's the Feast of Dedication. Next High Holy Day. Let's deal with Purim. All right, let's get these quick ones out the way. All right, let's deal with Purim. Let's go to the book of Esther. Now, with the word Purim, it means lots. All right, the casting of lots. All right.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Artaxerxes, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month of Adar and the 15th day of the same yearly.
Now, real quick, let's go to Esther chapter 8 and 11, right? Let's go to Esther chapter 8 and 11, all right?
It's the book of Esther, chapter 8 and verse number 11, wherein the king granted the Jews, which were in every city, to gather themselves together and to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, and to cause to perish all the power of the people and providence that would assault them, both little ones and women, and to take the spoil of them for a prey.
Right. Now, this was given as a decree because during the time of Esther, you had an Amalekite by the name of Haman. What Haman did was cast a lot on the Jews to destroy all of the Jews on a particular day. I believe the 13th and the 14th and the 15th, they were going to destroy every Israelite that was within this man's empire. From India to Ethiopia, you had Israelites in these different provinces, and they said, look, it's time to kill the Edomites. The Israelites. Because you had a man by the name of Mordecai who would not bow down to the so-called white man. Right? So you have to read the book of Esther. It's 9 chapters in the Old Testament, but you have the additions of Esther 2, and you'll read more about this situation and what went down. Right? It was told to the Jews that instead of the so-called white man giving a decree to kill you, that now, through the hand of the Lord, you can stand up and destroy these men that's coming to kill you.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 2. The Jews gathered themselves together in their cities throughout all the provinces of the king Artaxerxes to lay hand on such as sought their hurt, and no man could withstand them, for the fear of them fell upon all the people.
See that? So instead of them being destroyed, they actually destroyed the people that was coming to destroy them. That was a decree given to them by the king that, look, I know I signed and said that this thing can be done, but they reversed it and said, well, now you can destroy these heathen. When they destroyed the heathen, they declared these days to be holy, days of feasting, days of gladness, days of mirth, and of sending gifts to one another and to the poor. Right? And Purim is 2 days. Certain brothers keep it 3 days, but it's really supposed to be 2 days. All right? We can go back to that Esther 9. When you the first verse you read, that 9 to 20.
This is the book of Esther, chapter 9 and verse 20. And Mordecai wrote these things and sent letters unto all the Jews that were in all the provinces of the king Artaxerxes, both nigh and far, to establish this among them, that they should keep the 14th day of the month Adar and the 15th day of the same year, as the days wherein the Jews rested from their enemies, and the month which was turned unto them from sorrow to joy, and from mourning unto a good day, that they should make them days of feasting and joy, and sending portions one to another and gifts to the poor.
You see that? So that's what Purim is. The 14th day and the 15th day of the month of Adar. And I believe Adar is the last month of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Or either I believe it's the 12th month of the year. All right. So that's what Purim is. It's a day of remembering how the Lord delivered you from the hand of your enemy and the death of your enemy. It's the last month of the year. That's the Babylonian name for it. All right, Adar. But again, you have this day dedicated on the Lord killing the so-called white man and his 10 sons that were hung on gallows. Right? His name is Haman. He destroyed this man and his thoughts and devices against against our people. Let's go to Job 5 real quick at 13. Right? And the Lord declared this day holy. You're supposed to send portions one to another.
Okay.
All right. You can't say, nah, I don't want to. You're supposed to, man. And give a brother some oil, some incense. You might give a brother, whatever, man.
Wine.
Some wine. The brother like wine, man. Now you brothers know what to give a riot, man. The brother like wine, man. Red wine. See that? We know. All right. And righteousness. So brothers, you send gifts one to another, man. And sisters do it as well. And to the poor too. Send gifts or portions to the poor. So that's what it's about, man. You can start at 12.
This is the book of Job, chapter 5 and verse 12. He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
You see that? So the Lord disappointed the device of the crafty in the book of Esther. Who is the crafty? The so-called white man. What was his enterprise? To try to destroy the Jews, right? That's what he planned on doing. The Lord can disappoint any man's device, man, that he has against his people if his people repent and turn back to the Lord, right?
This is the book of Esther, chapter 7 and verse 7. And the king arising from the banquet of the wine in his wrath went into the place garden, and Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, for he saw that there was an evil determined against him by the king. Then the king returned out of his place in the garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereupon Esther was. Then said the king, will he force queen also before me in the house? And the word went out, the word out of the king's mouth. They covered Haman's face. And Herebon, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who have spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon.
Right. So because Haman had a plan to hang Mordecai, the Lord said, no, we're going to switch this thing up. We're going to hang you and your sons.
Right. Oh,
That's right. And I believe Esther went forward. At first it was to hang Mordecai, right? Because Mordecai, Esther trapped him up and got her on the bed somehow. It's not mentioning how he was laying with her or what happened, what went down, but she kind of finessed him, man. She finessed this guy. Now this guy ended on the damn bed, man. Rather she pulled him or pushed him and jumped down or whatever. We don't know what went down.
Just like JL, man, in the book of Judges.
That's right.
She finessed him, put that nail through his tongue.
Right, that's right. And that dude asked for water. She gave him milk. She said, oh, I'm going to give you this and I'm going to kill you, man. She insulted that man. Like the sister said, Judith, man. Hey, Judith chopped off a man's head, man. A lot of brothers, I don't want to do that. Right? I don't want to see the blood. I have a weak stomach. Well, brother, you're not going to make it, brother.
Right.
Right? The Lord said, cursed be he that keepeth back his sword from blood, man. So you got to get down with the get down. Esther chopped that dude's head off and put it in the bag and said, let's go. And she had another sister with her that was with it, man. That was a tag team effort. She ain't do it by herself. She had help. She had help too, man. So she had a loyal comrade, man.
It's the book of Esther, chapter 8, verse 3. And Esther spake yet again before the king and fell down at his feet and besought him with tears to put away mischief of Haman and the Agagite, and his device that he had devised against the Jews. Then the king held out a golden scepter toward Esther. So Esther arose and stood before the king and said, if it please the king, and if I have found favor in his sight, and the thing seemed right before the king, and I please in his eyes, let it be written to reverse the letters devised by Haman, the son of the Hammadathite and Agagite, which he wrote to destroy the Jews which are in the king's province.
You see that?
Right, like that.
So that's what happened, man. So, brothers, you read the book of Esther, man. Right? I don't want to read that. That's a woman's book. No, brother, that's your book, brother. Right? I only want to read about David. But, brother, you're not going to grow in this thing, man. I only want to read about David and Jesus. Brother, you better read Esther, man.
Just want to read the gospel.
Yeah, you want to read the book of John all day.
Benjamin.
Yeah, they was Benjamites. There you go, brother. Esther was a Benjamite, right? Mordecai was a Benjamite. All right, so-called West Indies, man. You know, and they were mighty. Mordecai and Esther, man.
This is the book of additions to Esther, chapter 11 and verse 2.
Salaki. And that's why you have to get the Apocrypha, because Esther ends abruptly in the Old Testament, but it's followed within the Apocrypha and the additions of Esther.
I'm gonna get straight to the point. This additions to Esther 11 and verse, I'm gonna start at 2. Verse 2, in the second year of the reign of Artaxerxes the Great, and the day in the first day of the month, Nisan, Mordecai, the son of Jeresid, the son of Shimei, the son of Kelsai, of the tribe of Benjamin, had a dream, who was a Jew.
See that? So he was a Jew, man. And he came from the same, Kelsai is the same word, Kish. He's come from the same family as Saul. Him and Saul come from the same family. One was righteous, one wasn't. All right, they could both come from Kish, which was a mighty man of valor. You know, that's what Saul was mighty at first, like Mordecai, but then Saul started going to hell off. You know, so that's Purim. We went over the new moon, we went over feast of dedication, and Purim. Purim, you send gifts one to another and to the poor, and remember how the Most High delivered you from the hand of your enemies, man. All right, so the next high holy day we'll go over, we'll go quickly, Most High willing, over the Passover. All right, so let's go over the Passover. Let's go to Exodus, straight to the point, 12 and 5.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 5. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from among the sheep or from the goats.
So you have to eat lamb on the Passover. The Lord, if you a vegan or you a vegetarian, put it to the side, man. Pick right back up after the lamb, because it goes down on the Passover. You can't eat, I heard brothers who can eat fried chicken on the Passover. One brother, he had fried chicken, mac and cheese, sweet potatoes, greens, cornbread, and an orange soda, like an orange Fago.
It's not the
or fancy, man. Yeah, man. He wanted to replace the lamb with fried chicken tenders. Right?
Lamb is good.
Hey, come on, brother. You gotta eat the lamb, man. All right. And it's not a lamb. You don't eat the lamb to see what it tastes like. It's not about, I wonder if this lamb will be good or not. You know, this is a good lamb feast. No, it's about the Passover is deeper than that, man. A lot of brothers just want to eat, man. Oh, I wonder what the lamb won't be like this year, man. What part of this is it a shank? Is it the lamb ribs? What we got this Passover? Brothers don't even know what the Passover is about, man. You know?
It's the book of John, chapter 1 and verse 29. The next day, John seeth a Mashiach coming unto him, and saith, behold, the Lamb of God, which taketh away the sin of the world.
You see that? So that lamb is representative of Yahweh Shai, right? A lamb without spot, without blemish, right? Go to 1 Peter 2 and 21. Because Yahweh Shai didn't sin. Yahweh Shai had no blemish. So the lamb that you had on the Passover was a male without any blemish. You had certain wicked Israelites that would offer up lambs with it was half torn by a lion, 3 legs, blind, right?
Going off.
Yeah, going off, man. They would tell you in the book of Malachi, man, that Jake would do that. They'll give the Lord the messed up lamb, and they'll keep the healthy lamb to themselves. I'm gonna eat this one. We're gonna eat good tonight. The Lord, you got his blind lamb. Right?
It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 1 and verse 19. but with the precious blood from Mashiach as a lamb without blemish and without spot.
Right. The Yahweh Shah was without spot, without blemish. Right. It's another one. Second Peter, chapter 2 and 21. Is that 1 Peter 2, 21? Yeah, we can start at 21.
It's the book of 1 Peter, chapter 2, and verse 21. For even hereunto were ye called, because Hamashiach also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps,
right?
Who did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth.
You see that? So Yahweh Shah did no sin. Let's go to Hebrews 4:15. He did no sin, neither was guile found in his mouth. So that's why he's the lamb without spot, without blemish. He's the offering for the children of Israel. In the ancient times, do brothers remember what the purpose of the lamb's blood was that was over the doorpost?
Angel of death to pass by.
Exactly. So in the last days, are you supposed to put lamb on your doorpost? Did Yahweh Shah do that when he was offered?
Nope.
So what is the blood of the lamb cover you from now? His blood covers you, but what does the blood cover you from? There you go, sin, death and destruction. So when death and destruction passes by, it'll pass over you because you're sanctified by the blood of the Lord. It was done on an earthly house, the house that you lived in the ancient times. And now that blood covers your spiritual house, your body, your tabernacle, your dwelling place now, you know? 4:15.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 4 and verse 15. For we have not an high priest, which cannot be touched with the feeling of our infirmities, but was in all points tempted, like as we are, yet without sin.
Straight to the point. Yahweh Shah went through temptation. The same temptations you go through and you deal with day to day and your truth, or you're walking in truth, so did the Lord, man.
It's the book of Hebrews, chapter 2 and verse 16. For verily he took not on the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. Wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be merciful and faithful high priest in the things pertaining to God, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people.
Right. So Yahweh Shah wanted to go through the earthly body that he was in, that he can overcome and show you, how to overcome sin. Because if Yahweh Shah came down in an angelic body and overcame everything, you would be like, well, he ain't really go through nothing. He had a spiritual body. He wasn't tempted, you know. But if the Lord can overcome the temptation, then you can overcome the temptation, you know. So let's go back to Exodus chapter 12. Now we know what the lamb is about. We're going to read a little bit more in Exodus 12.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 6. And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two sides of posts, and upon the upper door post, and upon the house wherein they shall eat it.
Right. So let's go to real quick. Let's go to Job 4. And let's start at 13. So they would actually do this on your actual house, but now we're showing you that you have your body's referred to as a house.
This is the book of Job, chapter 4 and verse 13. And thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, fear came upon me, and trembling which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up.
This is a nightmare, rather an apparition given to this guy. I believe this is who's this? Eliphaz. Yeah, this is Eliphaz, who's given Job an account of what he experienced when he was asleep, man. All right, how the Lord sent a spirit down there to trouble him. Keep going.
Verse 16. It stood still, but I cannot discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes. There was a silence, and I heard a voice saying, shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his maker?
Keep going.
Come.
No, you can finish.
Come. Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in the house of clay?
Right. What is your house of clay? Your body. right? You're formed out of clay. See that in Job, was at 36:3, man, or 33:6, right? So your house that the Lord sanctified now is your house of clay, your body. All right. So the Lord's blood covers your house of clay.
Whose foundation is in the
Because
dust,
you're made from the dust.
which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever without any regarding it.
Right. So the point is, you have a physical house you dwell in, which is where you live at, your residence, and where your spirit dwells at, which is a house of clay. Both are covered by the blood of the Lord. All right. So that's the purpose of putting the blood on the doorpost. All right.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 8. And they shall eat the flesh in that night roast with fire.
No, you put in the oven.
Roast with fire.
So how do you cook your lamb? It has to be roast with fire, man. You can't bake it.
Right.
You can't throw it in the microwave, which would be foolish. Right? You can't boil it. I want boiled lamb. Yeah, I'm a fried lamb. You want to deep fry it. Right? Jake, you want to crack your eggs, get your breadcrumbs, right? And try to do something different. I did it different on the Passover. Yeah, you posting all on the Instagram, right? I see people that somebody had hot dogs on the Passover. Hot dogs and the deviled egg.
Wicked.
That's just naturally disgusting.
So this what you got to keep these high holy days, man. Holy.
Come.
This is what holy means separate, man.
Right.
What's set apart with mac and cheese and greens and hot dogs? You eat that every Thursday, man. There is nothing set apart about deviled eggs, man, with paprika on top. What you got, brother?
So, no other day but the Passover, we're supposed to eat lamb.
You can eat lamb whenever you want, but you better eat it on the Passover. All right. There's only one other day you can't eat lamb. What day is that? There you go, brother. The Day of Atonement. Sharp on the sword. What scripture is that? Yeah. That's all right, brother.
It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 20 and verse 26. And ye shall be holy unto me, for I, the Lord, am holy, and have severed you from other people, that ye should be mine.
Right. So the Lord severed us. He cut us off from other people. That's the original cut you off, man. A lot of I'm gonna cut you off. No, the Lord Ben did that. He cut us off from the other nations. We're our own island. We're our own people, man. Own island amongst the waters. So let's go back to the book of Exodus, chapter 12.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse number 8 again. And they shall eat the flesh that night roast with fire.
So it has to be over fire.
And unleavened bread.
And you have to have unleavened bread. Right? And let's go to 1 Corinthians 5 and let's start at 6. Right? We're going to read about the unleavened bread. Everything in this meal is parabolic. A lot of brothers, oh man, I can't wait. Is she going to fry the unleavened bread? Is she going to put honey on it and cinnamon and nutmeg? Right? Or she going to have a plain one like last year? Right?
She got to outdo herself.
Yeah, she got to do better, man. God, can we get seconds? We're going to be allowed to get seconds. A lot of jakes, man, they just in this thing to get full. Right? It's not about getting full, man. We got to show you what this is about.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 5 and verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Ye, Salaki, know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump.
Right. Now, a little leaven is a little sin. It can leaven a whole lump, it'll destroy a whole congregation. If you plan on making unleavened bread, you could say, well, it's still going to be unleavened if I put a little yeast in there, but the whole thing is going to be destroyed, man. So a little sin can destroy a whole man and a congregation. And this account in 1 Corinthians chapter 5, you had a brother that was popping his mother, man. Straight up in Corinth. It was all hell breaking loose in Corinth. You had a woman teaching in the congregation. You had a man popping his mother. You had what else was going on? You had women not keeping silence. You had an effeminate men. You had men that they had false apostles coming in that church in 2 Corinthians. They was carnal, they was envying, they was fighting one another. They ain't want to give Paul no bread to get around in 2 Corinthians 9.
They wanted to get straight to the meat and not the milk.
Bunch of niggas, man.
Yeah.
In Corinth. When you read this, you got to see what was actually going on, man. All right, let's read that from verse 1 real quick. 1 Corinthians 5 and 1.
Trying to put away their wives.
Yeah.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 5 and verse 1. It is reported commonly that that there is fornication among you.
Man, everybody knew what the spirit, or it's like the literal fornication that was going on in Corinth.
And such fornication is not so much as named among the Gentiles.
Meaning this is a different type of fornication that y'all into, and I'm hearing about it.
That one should have his father's wife.
No, one should have his own wife.
That one should have his father's wife.
See that? That's what they were doing, right? My dad don't know what to do with that. I'm showing. That's what they were saying, man. Right? Sleep. Yeah. Talking about he sleep. Right? And they was doing it. That's off. It was in Corinth doing that, man. Right? One should have his father's wife. And we're gonna read on what happened.
And ye are puffed up and have not rather mourned.
Meaning they was like, oh man, you did that, man. Oh man, how was it, man? Oh man, where was your dad at, man? You know, Jay get puffed up, right? What you have on, man? You know, instead of mourning, man. Yeah, that Absalom spirit, man. You know, everybody getting there asking questions. You seen the movie Paid in Full? Yeah, Rico put stuff on the video. Oh man, you know, this is how you do it, man. That's what they was doing back then. You know, they was going off in Corinth, man.
That have done this deed might be taken away from among you.
Right. You mean he's supposed to kick this guy out the body, man? You sitting there egging this man's supposed to be put from the congregation. Right?
In the name of our Lord Mashiach Yahushua, when ye are gathered together, and my spirit with the power of our Lord Mashiach Yahushua, to deliver such an one unto Satan.
Right, go on.
For the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit may be saved in the day of Mashiach Yahushua.
Right, what does it mean, deliver this man to Satan? I mean, kick this man out the congregation, man. Because if he's outside the congregation, now Satan is going to work on him heavy, man. Right? A lot of times when brothers get removed from congregations, or they leave a camp, or they want to do their own thing, or they fall out the truth, Satan start working on them heavy. He said, hey, I'd rather have this man be delivered to Satan than the whole church of Corinth fall apart. Get this man out of there, man.
Right, give him over to his own lust, man.
Right.
The brother want to do that, hey, he gonna be even stronger on the left hand side.
That's right. You can go on.
Come. Verse 7, 1 Corinthians 5 and verse 7. Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump.
So sometimes you got to remove them cancer cells, man. Even surgeons will tell you, we have to cut this spot in the body or this cancer will spread and destroy the whole body, right? There's and let's go real quick. I'll find it.
Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Hamashiach, our Passover, is sacrificed for us.
Right, the point is Hamashiach Yahushua is our Passover. You're supposed to purge out that old leaven. Right? That's what the unleavened bread represents. It represents a body without sin. A body that's removing demons from it. Spiritual toxins. Right? That you can be clean and pure. So you want to have that unleavened bread. You want to be reminded of being clean in the spirit. Because that leaven can destroy your whole body. Right? Let's go to all right, go on. You got it.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16, and verse number 5. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they forgotten to take bread. Then Hamashiach said unto them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread. Which, when Hamashiach perceived, he said unto them, O ye little of faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do not yet understand, neither remember the 5 loaves and the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up, neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up. How is it that do not understand that he spake not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees? Right? So he told them straight up, man, beware of these men, right? Because they could come in and seduce you, and the next thing you know, it's going to spread that wicked philosophy and that understanding to the other men and overthrow them in their judgment and understanding.
That's right. So brothers' doctrine could come in. If you eat what these brothers are bringing out, like saying the you don't have to keep the commandments anymore, the laws done. You got Israelites saying the laws done away with now. Right? They say, look, we're not, and these guys been in the truth for a minute, man. Now you don't have to keep the laws anymore. Their fringes are wicked. A lot of brothers, they eat that up, man. And it destroy their whole congregation. You got one brother that listened to it, he believed it, and I bring it right. Let me talk to you, Dr. Kevin. Well, you know what I was studying? You know, I was looking over this. What do you think about this? Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, let's get Yeshua. I think Yeshua might believe in it too. We start looking for brothers to follow this doctrine. We start plotting. Yeah, Yeshua, he's not gonna really buck up against it. He just, you don't know. So let's just get Yeshua to believe in it. Right? And then next thing you know, we got 3 brothers. Now we getting the next. Next thing you know, all hell broke loose in the congregation. Right? Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter, let's see, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and 16.
It's the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2 and verse 16. But shun profane and vain babblings,
Like them different different doctrines.
for they will increase unto more ungodliness.
Right?
And their word will eat as do a cranker, and whom is Hymenaeus the Pharisees, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrown the faith of some.
Right. So if you don't avoid this doctrine, if you don't avoid the leaven, it's going to spread like a canker. Now you look this word canker up in the Greek, it means gangrene. And gangrene is a disease that will eat up your flesh, right? It'll start in your fingers and then it'll spread to your arms. Then it'll spread to your chest. And aren't we the body of Yahweh? Right? Isn't every brother part of the body? So if you got a brother that's in the congregation and he the toes, it's going to eventually spread to the head and the neck, man. Or we're going to start in the head and spread down to the feet. Regardless, it's destructive for the body and it's not profitable. Right? So this word, I'm going to put this word in the blue letter in the Greek. Right? For canker, bear with me.
Strong's G, 1044. Gagrana. Gagrana.
And that's where you get the word gangrene from. Right? It says an ulcer or a canker, a gangrene. This is how their doctrine was. This is how the leaven is. A disease. Right? Any body that has a disease, they know that body's going to suffer harm. By which any part of the body suffering from inflammation becomes so corrupted that unless a remedy be seasonably applied, the evil continually spreads, attacks other parts, and at last eats away the bones. So that's how that leaven get, man. Start in the skin and it destroy your whole hand, eats your bones off, man. Take the hand off, not an arm going, not a leg going. That's how that leaven is, man. So that unleavened bread is heavy, man. Or it's gonna, if you have leaven in your system, then you're not gonna make it. That's what the Most High, when we read the rest of that, he requires that you remove anything with leaven outside of your house that you live in. Right? Anything with yeast in it, brother. Any leavening agent. It has to be put out of your house before the feast of unleavened bread kicks off. And your house of clay too, meaning your body. Got something else? So we can go back to Exodus. So you have to have a lamb and unleavened bread.
Reading on from Exodus 12 and 8. And with bitter herbs, they shall eat it.
Do brothers remember what the bitter herbs represent? The hard bondage. The hard bondage in Egypt. That's what the bitter herbs represent. All right? So that's why you have to have bitter herbs like horseradish. Some brothers do dandelion, ginger root, whatever bitter. Usually we want the most bitter herbs. When WFI keep the Passover, we want the bitter. Put a lot of bitter herbs in our plate, man. You know? So it's this Passover, when you eat and partake of each part of the meal, it should stir up your mind for different parts of the scriptures. The body of Yahweh Shah, the walk that he had, the unleavening spirit you're supposed to have, the affliction and oppression that we dealing with, the revenge coming from the Most High. And there's one other thing missing from the Passover, which is the wine. All right? Let's get the wine real quick in Luke chapter 22 and 40. We start at 40. Oh, that's what I want. So we want Luke chapter 22. No, that's a different cup. Let's go to yeah, you can go to 1 Corinthians, like 11 to 28.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 11 and verse 24. And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, take, eat, this is my body, which is broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. After the same manner, also he took the cup when he had supped, saying, this cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye as oft as ye drink it in remembrance of me.
Not to get drunk.
In remembrance of me.
A lot of brothers, they want to get drunk on the Passover. Right? What wine does he have? Is it dark wine? I hope you don't bring that Taylor port again. It gave me a headache last Passover. Right? I know he got paid. He get paid every 2 weeks. So you know he's gonna get the good wine. Right? That's how brothers thinking, man. Can I get 3? Can I get another cup? Get another cup up. You got brothers that want 4 cups of wine, man. Can you mind if I crash here? Brothers should never got to that point. Now you gotta crash at another brother crib on the Passover, man. That's off, man. Right? You gotta blanket. Brother, you should have been able to it's not about getting drunk on the Passover, man.
And the brother fridge.
Yeah, you in the brother fridge. You know? We had a brother that he was mixing stuff in his wine one day, man. Now the brother didn't know what was going on, but the brother, you know, he's a lot better now. All right, so you don't want to be mixing stuff in your wine. It's too strong. I won't put this in it to water it down. Right? Take your wine straight up. Right? Because the wine represents what, brothers? The Lord's blood. And then when you drink it, you're remembering Yahweh's sacrifice that was shed for us, man. His blood that was shed for us to purge us. Let's go to Revelation 1:5 of our sins, man. That's what the blood is for, man. To remember Yahweh. You know? So you have to drink the wine and you have to drink the wine on the Passover. You have brothers say, well, I don't drink alcohol. You got to drink the wine on the Passover. If you got children, you know, they drink grape juice on the Passover, but you got to drink the wine.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 5. And from a Mashiach, who is the faithful witness and the first begotten of the dead and the prince of the kings of the earth, unto him that loved us and washed us from our sins and his own blood.
Straight like that. Blood is the top cleansing agent ever created, right? Sober is over that awesome spray you get from the Family Dollar. Right. Sober bleach, right? It's over water. It's over fire. Blood pierces your body and gets to your spirit and cleanses it from any infirmity and weakness and sin. So that's the purpose of Yahweh's blood. Just like the lamb's blood covers your house, all right? It purifies your house from the destruction. So the lamb's blood, Yahweh purifies your body from sin. So that's why we drink of the blood, which is not actual blood. You know, during the time of the around 300s, 400s, you had a massive persecution on the Israelites by certain Roman emperors because they thought that Israelites was cannibals, man. Because we speak about drinking the blood and eating the body of the Lord. They said, we got to get rid of these guys, man. But they don't know what's going on. But they would throw Jake into lions' dens, have them fight as gladiators, use them as human torches, because they said these guys are cannibals. You know? So you got something else? So we can go back to Exodus.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 9. Eat not of it raw, nor sudden at all with water.
Sodden meaning boil. Don't boil it. And cook it well done.
But roast with fire.
Right?
His head with his legs and with the pruteness thereof.
Meaning, you're supposed to roast the whole lamb. We really can't do that now. You might get lamb shanks or, you know, lamb chops, whatever. But in the ancient world, you have to roast the whole lamb. All right? And the pertinence, meaning the whole lamb, everything inside and out. Right?
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
Right. No waking up after your hangover from drinking too much wine on the Passover. Now you want a lamb sandwich. Right? I know I can take that lamb and mix it with the mac and cheese. Right? Hey, you can make a lamb omelet. Let's take the leftover lamb and put it for an omelet, man. Right? You can't do that. Any lamb that's cooked on the Passover, it must be eaten on the Passover. All right? You cannot let any of it remain until the morning.
You can't throw it away either, right?
You got to eat it. All right.
And that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire.
Any leftover lamb, let's say you had too much, it has to be burnt. Can't just throw it away. You can't, well, I'm gonna feed it to the dog. Right? You can't feed it to the dog, right? You have to burn it with fire. You know? Get your big grill or your open pit. I know brothers get an open pit. I've seen certain brothers take a whole lamb and they make that little, the lamb pit, and they just throw it on the fire, man. Any leftover lamb, they throw it back in that fire. You know?
And that which remaineth of it until the morning you shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded.
No, your feet on the couch.
Your loins girded.
This is not that Thanksgiving meal when you watching the football game. Your belt unbuckled and your shoes on the feet, man. Right? You're supposed to eat like you're ready to go. Your loins girded, meaning, look, we eating this and we about to get the hell out of here, man. Haste. And haste, like the brother said. Because we left Egypt the morrow after the Passover, meaning that following that from transit, we was up all night. You was up there a whole night because you had to eat the lamb that night during this time. And when the sun was coming up, we was out of Egypt. Right? We left the morrow after the Passover, meaning after that meal, that same 15th day though. So our forefathers had to eat and get the hell out of there, man. Had their loins girded, their shoes in their feet, and their staff in their hand. Right? A lot of brothers, they eat the lamb and they laid back, belt buckle, they got a t-shirt on and, pajamas, shirt plates and all of that. Brother, you gotta eat it like you did, like your forefathers did, man.
Your shoes on your feet,
Right?
and your staff in your hand.
So brothers got to get a staff, man. Right? Every brother got to get a staff in their hand, man. All right?
And ye shall eat it in haste.
Now take your time.
And ye shall eat it in haste.
Right? You can't eat it like you a taste tester, man. Right? You got to eat it and make moves. You got somewhere to go, man. We have to get the hell out of Egypt.
It is the Lord's Passover.
Right?
For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
Right?
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the house where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
Right?
And this day shall be unto you for memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
So we're always supposed to keep the Passover forever. All right? Every first month, the 15th day of the month, every brother should know how to keep the Passover, why we keep the Passover, and when to keep the Passover. All right? We can go on here. We'll get a few more.
Verse number 15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul should be cut off from Israel.
You see that? So you have to eat unleavened bread. So your Passover that you eat and that you keep is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, your Passover meal and Passover, that's High Holy Day, is the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Before this day begins, you have to remove any leaven out of your house. What is leaven? Anything with yeast in it, any leavening agent, right? You remove that from your house. If you can't afford to throw it away, and put in the trunk. Some brothers put in the trunk of their car, man. After the 7 days, they hold on to it, and you have to literally do this. If you don't do it, you're going to be destroyed by the Lord, right? No holding back. I'm going to just hold on to the potato bread.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 22 and verse 1. Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
You see that? Which is called the Passover. In the book of Tobit, the first chapter is also called the Feast of Sweet Bread. Right? Let me get that as well in the book of Tobit. Why? Because the unleavened bread they made was sweet, man. With honey on it and cinnamon or whatever they desired to put on it. See if we can get that. Tobit. What is that? We have to find it. Got to be the first chapter. All right, we're going to find this account in the book of Tobit when they had the feast of bread 7 days. Bear with us. It's in there somewhere. Salakia, Israel. Let's see, sweet bread. Something like that. Yeah. Might be the fourth. We have to find it. We're gonna find this account. All right. Leave no stone unturned. All right, bear with us 1 second. All right, we're gonna go to the Apocrypha and the book of Tobit to find this account. All right, bear with us, Israel. Bear with us 1 second. Until Orion going into it, he looking for it, but we're not going to close the live stream until we find it. All right, we're not going to close up until we find this account. All right, bear with us. So there are different names given to the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, bear with us.
What was it?
In the book of Tobit, when it's the Feast of if a brother know where it is on the live stream, they can post another name where they call it the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They might have called it the Feast of Sweet Bread, or something to that effect.
I know it's Esdras, first Esdras, 119.
What is it?
So the children of Israel, which were present, held the Passover at the time and the Feast of Sweet Bread 7 days.
That's what it is. Salaki. First Esdras. The water Yeshar. All praise to the Most High Yeshar in the building, man. Right? The first Esdras. That's my fault. I thought it was Tobit. Tobit speaks about the Pentecost. Right? So it's first Esdras 1 and 19, the Feast of Sweet Bread, man. You know? So you have the Feast of Sweet Bread, you have the unleavened bread, which is the same thing. All right. You got something else?
Nah, I was gonna get it.
Oh, you can get it.
It's the book of First Esdras, chapter 1 and verse 19. So the children of Israel, which were present, held the Passover at that time, and the Feast of Sweet Bread 7 days.
See that? The Feast of Sweet Bread 7 days, which is another name for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. All right, so we're going to get a few more in Exodus and we're going to wind down.
Verse 15 in Exodus chapter 12. And it reads, 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, saith that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
Right, so the first day and the 7th day is a Sabbath. You can't buy or sell on those days, but you can cook. And you better congregate because it's a commandment, a holy convocation. Right, the first day and the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You should be with your brothers on the Passover, your wife and your family, and you should be with your brothers and your wife and your family on the Passover, on the last day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. You can't buy and sell on the 1st and 7th day, but you can those other days.
And ye shall observe the Feast of Unleavened Bread. For this self same day have I brought your enemies out of the land of Egypt. Armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
Right, now let's jump to 43.
Verse 43. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof.
Meaning a heathen. This stranger in this context is like the so-called white man. You can't bring him to the Passover. Right? You can't bring a Moabite to the Passover and say, well, he was hungry, we worked together. He wanted to stop by and get something to eat. You kind of cooking up the Passover with him. He telling you what to add to it. You listening to him. You got to keep this thing holy, man. No heathen can eat of the Passover. You might have a heathen wife. A lot of brothers in the truth, they got a heathen wife, right? She's saying, "Why I can't eat?" You know, you got to tell her what you got to deal with it, man. You know?
She might try to poison the food.
Yeah.
Right.
You gotta get takeout.
Right. Verse 44. But every man's servant that is brought for money, when thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof.
Right. If you have a manservant, meaning a fellow Israelite, if he's not circumcised, he has to be circumcised, then he can eat of the Passover.
A foreigner and an hired servant shall not eat thereof.
Right, a heathen.
In one house shall it be eaten, that thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall you break a bone thereof.
Right. So you can't take your lamb and be eating it on the porch, right? Taking your lamb, you kind of eating it outside with the brothers.
On the go.
Yeah, on the go. You know, brothers outside on the balcony, in the patio, eating the Passover.
Right, legs.
Yeah, that's off, man. You have to keep it in the house. Now, why did the Lord say you can't break the bone of the lamb? There you go, right? Symbolic to not one of Yahweh's bones were broken, right? On the crucifixion. Remember, they wanted to break his legs, but he was dead already. So they said there's no need to break his legs to further exasperate his death. So they just, Joseph Arimathea got him off the cross.
It's the book of John, chapter 19, and verse number 32. Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and of the other, which was crucified with him. But when they came to Hamashiach, they saw that he was dead already. They brake not his legs.
Right, because they would break the legs to have this man hurry up and die, right, and get him off the cross. But Yahweh they didn't break his legs because that was fulfilled that you can't break the lamb of the Passover or break the bone, right? I know my great grandmother, she would break bones and suck the marrow out, you know, and do all of that old slave stuff, man. Right? You can't do that, man. Right? They would do that in slavery too, because they didn't have too much to eat, you know, so they got to get what they can out this thing, man. Right? We're gonna crack the bone, you know, because we got to work in this hot field, man. We got to do what we got to do. We don't have to do that no more. Right? And you can't do that for the Passover. You can't break the bones or carry it out your house. So we can finish Exodus 12.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verse 47. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover of the Lord, let all his males be circumcised. Then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, and no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is homeborn, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the so same day that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies.
And you have to be circumcised to eat the Passover. All right, that's part of the law too. All right. We wasn't able to get to the rest of the high holy days. We may do it next week, most are willing, but we went over the Passover, the Feast of Dedication, and the New Moon, and Purim. All right, and there's more high holy days. We'll cover the destruction of Nicanor, the Day of Simon, Feast of Tabernacles, and the rest of the high holy days that come in their season. The memorial blowing of the trumpets, Day of Atonement. Right? With that, we're going to close the live stream and proceed to head to camp. Brothers, got any questions? All right, with that, we're going to close out.